Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, and there are shenanigans going on, potentially, maybe, possibly, with Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker ticket sales. Now, we did a video a couple days ago where we talked about how we had a friend of ours come to us before anybody was talking about any of this stuff and say, hey, you know what's weird? I went to go buy tickets and half the theater was sold out already, and people would not have had time to sell out the theater. And they were sold, it was apparently sold out in blocks, right? And he said it was very odd. It was very odd. So he wrote me immediately and said, you might want to look into this. I'm not saying anything's weird, but there's some weird stuff going on. And now apparently it's being confirmed by folks on Twitter that, you know, it does seem kind of odd, the pattern of purchases regarding The Rise of Skywalker, the fact that many theaters are sold out, and they all seem to be sold out in basically the same pattern. I'm not saying Disney's doing anything. I'm not saying that they're possibly maybe buying their own tickets or anything like that. But it's weird. And, you know, there is a lot riding on this movie. I mean, this episode 9 is basically going to make or break Star Wars. So would there be an incentive to maybe possibly make this movie look like a bigger hit in the making? Yeah, there is. There absolutely is. There's definitely a motive if this is indeed what is going on. So before we get into the video, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed already. We're closing in on 70,000 subs, and I want to thank you guys for that. Geeky is going to be on later. She's going to be in another video. She's actually very busy this weekend, but she will be on in the next video, hopefully. And we're going to, you know, continue giving you our hot takes. So I got to backpedal here a little bit and mention that when we first started talking about this a couple of days ago, somebody linked this video out on Reddit, and said that we were full of shit, that there's absolutely no way that Disney would do this, that we're doing everything possible, everything in our power to make sure that Disney looks bad. And this was actually a Kotaku in action. I was surprised. But they were like, we're liars. We just want Disney to look bad. We want Star Wars to look bad. That we did a video, I'm actually grinning here because it's ridiculous if you actually watch the video, that we did a video talking about Screen Rant, talking about a Marvel comic where there was a woman behind Palpatine, and they were the ones who made it out like she was actually in charge. I admitted in the video I never read it, but because of that video, apparently we are full of shit when it comes to anything Star Wars. But I'm telling you, we're getting some confirmation, and we can independently verify in this particular situation that we have had friends of ours who have no dog in this fight at all. They are casual geeks, casual Star Wars fans. They went to buy tickets, and they were surprised. They were surprised because everything was sold out in a very strange blockish pattern in their local theater. And he's like, there's absolutely no way those tickets could have sold because I was waiting all day to buy them. So let's talk about that. Let's first go out to another boast on the part of Disney, that the Fandango tickets broke records. Now, Geeky looked into Atom tickets, and that was what they were using at first. They were like, Atom tickets, it broke all kinds of records. Rise of Skywalker broke records on Atom for the highest, you know, first hour sales ever, blah, 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 blah. And everybody's like, what the hell is Atom tickets? Well, Atom tickets is actually a pretty new ticket reseller. And Geeky looked into it. She's like, hey, guess what? Disney owns a big chunk of Atom tickets. And guess what? J.J. Abrams is on the board of Atom tickets. So now they're coming back with, well, it's Fandango. It broke Fandango. Everybody knows Fandango. Just remember, Fandango's CEO used to be a bigwig at Disney for many, many years in many, many different departments, and also owns Rotten Tomatoes, but I digress. So now they're coming back with Fandango. Fandango ticket sales broke records. Absolutely. Per Deadline, The Rise of Skywalker broke Fandango's Star Wars franchise record, besting The Force Awakens during the first few hours. Additionally, Star Wars 9 is Fandango's top daily seller. Then we get down to the bomb. It's like, last year, people were worried about Star Wars. When Star Wars was hit by a 1-2 punch of The Last Jedi backlash and Solo bombing, there was a feeling of franchise fatigue had settled in. Disney will be the first to admit they rushed out new Star Wars content, but The Rise of Skywalker pre-sales indicate there's still substantial interest among die-hard enthusiasts and general moviegoers. It wouldn't have beaten a Force Awakens record if there wasn't, and with Star Wars back in its new home in December, Rise of Sky... Okay. There were 6 Star Wars movies before Disney started doing live-action Star Wars movies, and all of them came out in May. And you know what? They made a lot of money. They made a shit ton of money. A Star Wars movie coming out in May should have made a ton of money, and it didn't. It didn't, because nobody cared. They didn't care. The Rise of Skywalker is virtually guaranteed to be a hit. Everybody, hurry up and buy your tickets, because they're selling out. Hurry, hurry, hurry. Hurry, we're running out of Star Wars. Disney is running out of Star Wars. Never mind that all the Star Wars merch for this movie is going to be on clearance in the dollar stores in a couple of months. Never mind that some stores now, including Walmart, just had Force Friday a couple of weeks ago. They're already clearancing out new Star Wars merchandise. But there just is such a demand for Star Wars. Such a demand for Star Wars. This is coming from Cosmic Book News. Disney suspected of buying Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker tickets. Now, there are a couple versions of the story. We got this covered, just covered it today, a couple hours ago. So it's making the rounds. I think this is the original version of it because the Quartering did a video on it. And we haven't really been keeping track of it. We've been very busy, but since our video, a lot more people have come forward on Twitter and YouTube and elsewhere and said, yeah, this looks really weird. The buying patterns of these tickets looks very, very strange. So we're going to talk about that. But I can tell you, we can independently confirm that we did have a friend come to us immediately within minutes of the tickets going live and being like, you're not going to believe this, but they're sold out. Like the theater is half full, and it's just a very odd pattern of seats being filled. So following Captain Marvel, Disney is again being suspected of buying tickets for Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker in attempts to promote the movie. So I guess we're all full of shit. Everybody's full of shit, Reddit, not just us. Jeremy from YouTube channel The Quartering also points out that tickets for Solo, a Star Wars story, were said to be double that of Black Panther. We also pointed that out. We said that Solo, that is how they instigate that fear of missing out. That's how they drum up buzz. Oh my God, the pre-sales are amazing. And as we watched with Solo, because fans knew where people really were with Star Wars when Solo came out. Fans knew where the general public was with Star Wars when Galaxy's Edge opened. The only people who don't seem to really understand exactly how far Star Wars has fallen is Disney. Disney doesn't seem to understand that Star Wars is a broken brand at this point. But they're gonna try to come back swinging. This is do or die for Star Wars. If this movie does not connect with people, if it doesn't get fans, old school fans, back on board with Star Wars, the general public interested in Star Wars again, then it is pretty much direct to TV from here on out. That's what I think. Now with Solo, they kept having to adjust the projected box office. Everybody's like, oh, Solo's going to make $200 million its opening weekend. Then they dropped it down to like $160 million. And then they finally dropped it down to like $121 million. And it came in at like $85 million for the weekend, domestic, in May, which historically was the month that all Star Wars movies came out. Disney changed the Star Wars movies to December because they were running behind on Force Awakens, and then they decided to just keep it December. So Solo only opened to less than 85 million, while Black Panther opened to over 200 million. So how could Solo ticket sales be double? Getting back to Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker, it's already reported that the flick is smashing pre-sale ticket records. Atom Tickets went so far as to state Rise of Skywalker ticket sales are outselling Avengers Endgame, with Endgame currently being the #1 movie at the box office of all time. But Joker might actually make more profit. Watch our videos on that. Adam further says Rise of Skywalker ticket sales is their best-selling movie in 24 hours ever. Regarding Fandango, the movie ticket seller says Rise of Skywalker has outsold all the previous Star Wars movies, beating out the previous record holder, Force Awakens. So this is Jeremy from The Quartering saying this. Jeremy suggests this is a case of fear of missing out. We agree. and that Disney could be buying Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker tickets in order to get people to think they have to see the movie. Possibly? I can't say for sure, but possibly. That's what this is manufactured fear of missing out, the YouTuber says as he points out that only certain seats in the theater are not being sold, which suggests a pattern. They're buying out basically everything but the edges. Every single showing has the exact same tickets missing. I can independently confirm this because, like I said, our friend came to us and said, this is very weird, but there are so many of these tickets sold already and they would not have had a chance to buy them, or if they bought them, they wouldn't all be bought in a square like this. It would be, there'd be empty seats here and there or whatever. But he was like, yeah, the theater was it was like half full. It was half purchased, and it was within minutes of the announcement. So very odd. Jeremy also points out that it's strange that hardcore Star Wars fans aren't buying the seats at the edges. And it's weird that the front rows sold out prior to the seats on the edges at the back of the theater. You would expect, given normal human behavior, that seats C4 and C3 would absolutely have sold before anything in these front rows. Jeremy says, this is not a normal ticket distribution. In my opinion, this looks suspect. You would not have sold out the entire first row before you sold out these other rows. So is Disney buying tickets to get those headlines going for opening weekend? It's possible. I don't know how they would do that and get away with it. But there was some weird stuff going on with Captain Marvel, too. Captain Marvel, again, I can confirm. We went, I believe, opening weekend. It wasn't super busy. It wasn't as empty as Solo, but it was not as busy as we expected a Marvel movie to be. And we've actually heard from other people that went opening night, opening weekend, and there were lots of empty seats. Yet it supposedly smashed records. You know, again, I don't know how they would do this without getting caught, especially now that Disney's being investigated by the SEC. Because of allegedly cooking the books in the theme park division. But that is the theme park division. That's the theme park division. That's not the studios. So I don't know. You know, I mean, at this point, you know, even Fandango has a connection to Disney. I mean, I don't know if you can trust any of these outlets. A lot of the blogs that are reporting this, Disney invests in them, you know, or Disney, they're on Disney's media list. So I don't know what to believe. I don't know what to believe. And why are they in Palpatine's throne room? Wasn't it atomized when the Death Star blew up? I just want to put that out there. So this image, now here's the thing. This is the version from We Got This Covered. I believe this image, and I could be wrong, came from Data Racer 117. Now, Data Racer, we had a little bit of an altercation on Twitter because apparently he was not happy that I was using some of his tweets without giving him credit. However, I felt I was giving him credit, and I was reading articles that had his stuff embedded in it, and I don't know. Thought we worked it out, he wound up blocking me. I don't know, but I just want to point out, this is from Data Racer 117. So there we go. And I believe that they are using his images and not giving him credit. So there we go. Now you know it's Data Racer 117. So this is not normal ticket distribution, says Jeremy of The Quartering. I tend to agree. Regarding Captain Marvel, many people took to social media to show empty theaters and seats. That is true. While Fandango app and website showed the seats to have been sold. That is also true. Again, I can confirm this because we went to Captain Marvel opening weekend and there were empty seats, and we had many friends opening night said, look how empty the theater is. I thought this movie was a slam dunk. You know, Cosmic Book News pointed out that Disney confirmed they manipulated the perception surrounding Captain Marvel. Disney manipulates the perception surrounding everything for the most part, but Marvel and Star Wars means more. Marvel and Star Wars means more. And they mentioned the parks revenue in here too. Now, here's the thing, because Captain Marvel, they were banking on her being the mascot of the Marvel Universe, of the MCU going forward, of being the new Iron Man, the new Spider-Man. And she could not fail. And they could not have a Marvel movie fail before Endgame came out, because Endgame is the movie everybody wanted to see. Again, I'm not saying they did or didn't do it, but you look at these buying patterns, and it's a little suspect. And this kind of jives with what our friend was telling us. And that was before anybody said anything on Twitter. Like, nobody was talking about this on Twitter, but they're exactly the same buying patterns. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what's going on. You know, I guess the only thing I can say is, you know, opening night's probably going to be packed regardless, but it'll be interesting to see if we have people reporting back from the theater that, you know, they're sitting in an empty theater like they were with Captain Marvel. You know, and I don't know, are they going to bust people in to go see this movie? What happens to these tickets if they buy them? You know, if they're buying them through Atom, I mean, does Disney just, you know, absorb the cost because they own a big chunk of Atom? Fandango, I mean, you know, the guy used to work for Disney, worked for Disney for years. Their CEO, he worked for Disney for years. So how do they do this? I guess that's my question. If they are in fact doing this, how are they doing it? And I don't know. I don't really have an answer. I just know that Disney is in full-on panic mode when it comes to PR regarding the parks and regarding Galaxy's Edge and Star Wars. Disney knows they screwed up. They know they screwed up, but it's too late to really change anything now. But they need the Rise of Skywalker to do well. They cannot afford to have 3 strikes on Star Wars. They can't have Solo, Galaxy's Edge, and the Rise of Skywalker fail, or it's game over for Star Wars for now. It's Star Wars is relegated to direct to TV, to Disney Plus. It's not the tentpole franchise that they paid $4 billion for. But you know what? At the end of the day, they really don't have anybody to blame but themselves. The fans have been telling them what they wanted. Disney, in return, used media outlets and their PR people to tell the fans to go F themselves, basically. You know, like Freddie Prinze Jr. told the fans to go F themselves. Fans were called names. Fans were called horrible, horrible names. There were entire articles talking about how toxic the Star Wars fandom was. That you know, Russian bots were behind the dislike of The Last Jedi. It started to get weirdly political, and all Disney had to do in all of this is listen, and they refused to listen. And now it looks like all of that bad will could potentially be coming home to roost. I think it did with Galaxy's Edge, for sure. I think it did with Solo. I mean, they can try to spin it any way they want to spin it, but for a Star Wars movie to fail in May, and for them to say, well, it's because it was in May when the first 6 movies broke all kinds of records in May, is complete horseshit. It's space horseshit. So anyway, I'm going to wrap this one up. We're going to keep an eye on this. I'm not hearing a lot of buzz about this movie. I got to tell you, they can say that they're selling out, but the general public is not talking about this movie. People I'm talking to are not talking about this movie. They're like, oh yeah, I guess another Star Wars is coming out. They're not really thinking about it. But when Endgame was coming out, everybody was excited about Endgame. Everybody wanted to go see Endgame. It was legitimate excitement, and I'm not seeing, I'm not hearing, I'm not feeling that kind of excitement for this movie. So whatever that is worth, whatever that is worth. But it's good to have some additional confirmation, because we've been saying it for a few days now, and no, Reddit, we're not full of shit. All right, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants here on Clownfish TV. This has been Neon. We will talk later. Hey guys, thanks for watching Clownfish TV. Please consider supporting the channel. Go to clownfishsupport.com. That's clownfishsupport.com. And if you want to join our community, go to clownfishtalk.com. That's clownfishtalk.com. Please subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. We will talk to you next time.